keeping your promises. You never keep your promises. You never do anything you say you're gonna do, ever.
Donald Trump saying he's going to debate Kamala Harris. Now, you know my thoughts on this. My thoughts were Kamala Harris has no right to debate. I put this up on X. I think it's really important. Kamala is sitting here doing this like sort of boom clap thing against Donald Trump. Like, you agreed to a debate with Joe Biden, so you should also debate me. And I got to tell you, you're gonna hear something right now that I've never said on the show. Joe Biden deserves respect for debating, okay? Because what Joe Biden did was something Kamala Harris has never done, which Joe Biden won, and albeit rigged, but Joe Biden won a primary, meaning Democrats literally went in and they physically voted for Joe Biden. The end. That is what happened. You may disagree with those votes. You may think that's insane, but Joe Biden did win the Democratic primary competition, as rigged as it was, in 2020 and 2024. He has also run for president like 16 times. So Joe Biden ran for president, won the primary, and people literally went in and voted for his name. Nobody's ever done that for Kamala. Kamala Harris ran the cringiest campaign. Get me Kamala bus. Kamala Harris ran the cringiest campaign in 2020. She was supposed to have this like Obama. The media did the same thing they're doing right now. They know how to flip the trigger on Kamala. She had this extreme like sugar high, like Ritalin induced sugar high fructose corn syrup, like all like sugar rush from the corporate press to like say, wow, hyper as the next Obama, boom clap, Kamala Harris, let's go. And then it died, right? People got to know her. People got to see her on the trail. And they're like, okay, none of that. So that it collapsed. She didn't even make it to Iowa in 2020. She came in 5th in her home state of California, where she's supposedly really popular. Really, she came in 5th? Didn't get a single delegate at the Democratic National Convention. Now contrast that with Donald Trump, who, of course, as we all watched, went through a bloody primary process in 2016. Won the presidency in 2016 against like the machine of all machines, the Clinton machine, totally and completely fused with the corporate press against President Trump. The Washington Post publishing on the day of the election, Donald Trump's chances of becoming president are approaching 0. I have that paper. It's not hanging in the studio. I have it. Donald Trump wins. Then Donald Trump wins again in 2020. Gets hundreds of millions of Americans have voted for Donald Trump for president, have cast ballots. At least tens of millions of Republicans have cast ballots for Donald Trump in primary processes in all states. Donald Trump is a legitimate leader. He is a legitimate presidential candidate. Kamala Harris is an illegitimate presidential candidate because no one has voted for her. No one has cast their ballots for her. No one has selected her to be the party's nominee. She became the party's nominee by an elitist group run by Barack Obama that decided to anoint her and say F you to the Democrat primary process by kicking out Joe Biden. Now, you may say this is all planned. I'm going to have to see that come out in the wash. I'm not sure how planned it all was, but it certainly was accelerated by a debate with Donald Trump. This plan of kicking Joe off the ballot it got a single accelerant, which was Donald Trump, then get Biden COVID, right? Or whatever horrible thing happened to him. Looking terrible. By the way, where's Joe Biden? You seen him? Like sleeping in the casket? Where's Joe Biden? In the White House? Like mummified? The hell is he? But a debate with Donald Trump sent him over the edge. Kamala Harris does not deserve Donald Trump's respect and deserves 0 respect because she was not selected by the people at all. She was not elected, she was selected. So that's why I don't like the parlay between the two, because they're not the same. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things doesn't belong. And what doesn't belong is the fact that Donald Trump was actually legitimately elected by the people, and hundreds of millions of Americans have cast their votes for Donald Trump, and no one has ever cast their vote for Kamala Harris. No one. She didn't win a debate. She didn't win a primary process. The only thing we've seen from her on the trail have been these two things, all right? These two things. One, Kamala Harris has decided to show everybody her bus. Oh my, here we go.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh wow. Wheels on the bus, go round and round.
And the last thing that Kamala Harris got to do was also show us something else about buses, which is that she could use a bus to bludgeon Joe Biden into the Stone Age by saying that Joe Biden is such an evil, vindictive racist that he prevented her from going to school because he was against busing. Here we go.
Believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Ooh, wow. Has anyone asked Kamala Harris why she worked for that evil racist that didn't want her to go to school because of her skin color? That said you can't vote for him if you're not the right skin color. Anybody ever asked those questions of Joe Biden? Really? Donald Trump one time says Kamala Harris is a faker who uses her fake accents and heritage to her advantage depending on the group she talks to, which is demonstrably true because you can see it. You've seen it. Vivek's talked about it. Like, we had Harmeet Dillon on, who knows Kamala Harris, and she tells all these stories about Kamala Harris. Like, she's everything to everyone, right? And they lose their minds over that thing. And Joe Biden's out here stopping Kamala Harris from going to school because he doesn't like her skin color. That's what Kamala said. Don't come for me. Joe Biden's out here calling Barack Obama a clean black man. Don't come for me. That's what he said. You can't eat at Dunkin' Donuts without an Indian accent. That's what Joe Biden said. We don't have the time to play you all the clips. This is what the dude said. And nobody in the media ever called Joe Biden racist. No one. No one ever started an interview by saying, why can't you go to a 7-Eleven without a slight Indian accent to Joe Biden? Those are the exact words. A reminder, Joe Biden did also strangle Corn Pop with a rusty chain, okay? Because he had too much pomade in his hair when he was a lifeguard. Again, a story of Joe Biden. I know. Tales from the weird. But there we are. Donald Trump. They'll go after Trump. Okay, fine. What happened to Kamala Harris last time she was in a debate? And somebody actually came for her. Oh, no. Well, this is quite the role reversal. Tulsi Gabbard ended Kamala Harris's I remember where I was when I was watching this clip. I was in California, actually, filming a documentary. I remember where I was because this was so savage. Kamala Harris dropped out after this clip. Watch.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. That would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris.
So now that same person who we can play clip after clip after clip of her being incapable of coming up with, we do the entire show just kind of like off the top of our head, right? We read a lot of news. We pretty much don't sleep. We like consume news, make content all day, publish these massive documentaries. We just like, little engine keeps running, right? Little engine that could. But Kamala Harris, without a teleprompter, like can't answer a question. We don't have the next 7 hours to play. Stephen Miller's joining the show in like 10 minutes, so we don't have like the next 7 hours to play these clips. But she can't do it. She's not capable of doing it. And so I don't know, man. Seems like quite a bet. Kamala Harris is demanding a debate with Donald Trump, but demanding it on her terms. Again, Kamala Harris is the person who wasn't elected. She's illegitimately installed. Donald Trump is the person who should be setting the terms of the debate. This weekend, Donald Trump said, yo, I want to do a debate on Fox News with a live audience. It can be in an arena in Pennsylvania. Whew, that would be awesome. Do you remember Donald Trump? Only Rosie O'Donnell. I don't think we have that clip, right? Okay, no. Only Rosie, that's fine. Only Rosie O'Donnell. Right? That was inside of an arena in Cleveland. I was there. I was in the front row. And it was like the room just roared, right? The curtain opened, you know, it gets torn from, like, this is the moment. Donald Trump can really play those arenas. That's what Donald Trump wanted. Kamala Harris wanted Donald Trump to stick to the schedule he agreed to with Joe Biden. You changed the human being. That's not how any of this works. You changed the human being. That means Donald Trump, it's not like he agreed to it. I have a beautiful wife. I love my wife. We have a bunch of kids together. I've been married to my wife for 7 years. On occasion, very rare, on occasion, we get a chance to go on a date. Very rare. On occasion. I take my wife out to a date. I say, meet me at this restaurant. I go to the restaurant, and instead of my wife being there, it's Gorlock the Destroyer. Or Dylan Mulvaney. Right? Or Cori Bush, because she just lost her race. She has nothing else to do. And I'll say, record scratch. Sorry, you're not my wife. And since you swapped the person, the date is off. Okay? That's how this works. You're not my wife, right? So you changed the person I'm going on a date with, therefore the date's off. Pretty important, right? When two people decide to go on a date. Got it? So Kamala Harris is being like, no! You have to do the same thing. If we just changed the person and you need to debate me. Well, let's see. Donald Trump this morning is saying that he's gonna do a debate. Okay, let's go. Donald Trump on the debate this morning. She's not a good debater, but we're probably gonna do it. Let's go.
I hear she's hasn't taken one interview. She would never do an interview like this. That I can guarantee with any network. She doesn't do interviews because she can't answer questions. I don't know how she debates. I heard she's sort of a nasty person, but not a good good debater. But we'll see, because we'll be debating her, I guess, in the pretty near future. It's going to be announced fairly soon, but we'll be debating her. I'd like to see it on Fox, by the way. I would like to see it. My preference would be Fox, but we have to debate.
Do you have an announcement, Mr. Are you working stuff out behind the scenes? Because we haven't heard about it yet.
No, but I can tell you every network loves me very much right now. They love me very much. I've never been so loved by CBS and by ABC fake news. And by NBC. No, they're all in love with me now, so that, I say yes, because it's up to me, obviously, also.
But, on the
look,
debate,
the most important thing is we get debate. I think debates are very important, and I think she'll be exposed just like Biden was exposed. Nobody knew Biden was that bad, and then he was exposed during the debate, and they tried to have a series of comebacks after that, and they didn't work out too well, and they viciously overthrew him. I mean, he was overthrown in it, using every trick in the book. They overthrew him. It was pretty amazing, actually.
So Donald Trump says that he will debate, and it'll be announced soon. What does that mean? What does it mean? Will President Trump be debating on Fox? It's very interesting. Donald Trump talking about the debate. What was planned was a debate with ABC News. Donald Trump is suing ABC News and George Stephanopoulos, as he says. George Stephanopoulos famously said Joe Biden couldn't serve another 4 years when he was caught on sort of a hot mic undercover camera on the street. Interesting that. Let's listen.
The debate, just to close this up, you're in litigation with George Stephanopoulos on ABC. So there's right, and the judge says, this is good. The suit's going to go forward. So how could you go on ABC, especially if he's going to be one of the moderators?
Well, you could use that as an excuse. I could use that. I've said that. Is there a conflict? And, there might be George Slopadopoulous, and he's got problems, and, they've got problems. But if they're going to have I guess David Muir is going to be the host in that case. You have all the hosts are pretty much named, and you have Brett and Martha, and they're great. And I'd love to see it on Fox, but, it takes two to tango.
Well, maybe you get two. Maybe you get two debates.
She doesn't want to debate. Look, she doesn't want to debate. She wants to say, I don't want to debate, but I do want to debate. When it came to Biden, I accepted everything. I accepted Jake Tapper. I accepted everything because he didn't want to debate. After I accepted everything, the only thing I said, let's stand up. They wanted to sit down at a desk. I said, that's not going to look so great. So I said, but I accepted everything. And pretty much that's the way I do it right now because I want to debate her. I think it's important for the country that we debate. Now, where it is, I'm all for Fox. I'd like to see it on Fox. I think Fox would do a really good job, but two people have to agree.
All right.
Okay, so sign of things to come. We are pro-debate. We are pro-debate. We see what Kamala is capable of, and we think that this would be a wonderful time to expose Kamala, the way that he exposed Joe Biden. We feel like the dynamics are going to change quite a bit from the first debate, maybe a little nastier, but must-see TV for certain. Donald Trump turning up the heat on Kamala Harris in the same interview. Last clip, let's listen.
She was a border czar, which she doesn't admit it now. The only thing they have going is the media will play off all of the bad things that happened during her term. She was so bad that 5 weeks ago, they wanted to remove her because she was unthinkable to be president. They were going to go with anyone. And then they were afraid that they would offend people if they did that. And all of a sudden, inch by inch, and then she ends up taking over. Now the same press that thought she was the worst vice president in history, which is true, going along with the worst president in history. And he went down after the debate, and there was nothing much they could do it. They tried to come back. Then they brought her in, and everybody said, it'll never be her. She's so bad. She's incompetent. And after they studied it a little bit, they realized it's not going to be so easy to do. So they say, well, look, the press is going to do whatever we want because the press is a rigged deal. The press is the media, outside of you people, of course, but the media is so they're trying to build her up to the next Margaret Thatcher liberal version. And I don't believe it's going to happen.
So Trump's right about that. But Trump's also right, I think, to call for this debate. I do. As much as Kamala Harris doesn't deserve, because she is illegitimately an installed candidate that didn't get a single vote, the American people do deserve to see the two candidates debate. You could argue the ethics of it. I look forward to doing that with Stephen Miller in just a moment. But here's what I personally believe. I personally believe Donald Trump, in the right setting, and even with no audience, because you saw this happen with Biden, can turn the entire room to his side. We saw this with the National Association of Black Journalists this week. You can see it in this clip here, the famous Only Rosie O'Donnell.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
Come on. Playing the oldies. Remember when they decided not to give Donald Trump a giant arena to do that in, and they said, only friends and family. We're CNN. We're very serious. We're only friends and family, like 200 people each, packed in to this little, tight little auditorium. And then this happened.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton...
I know people that were in the audience that day, and they tell me that it was like a small, that roar you hear, it was like a tight, small little audience. And Trump was able to do that to Hillary, even given those constraints. And the final thing, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump will be able to do this to Kamala Harris. An amazing, maybe not the most viral moment from 2016, but an incredible one nonetheless. Go.
And she could have done this years ago, by the way. She was a United States senator. She complains that Donald Trump took advantage of the tax code. Well, why didn't she change it? Why didn't you change it when you were a senator? The reason you didn't is that all your friends take the same advantage that I do. And I do. You have provisions in the tax code that, frankly, we could change. But you wouldn't change it because all of these people give you the money so you can take negative ads on Donald Trump.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect line of attack. This works now. Yo, I'm Donald Trump. I ran for office one time. I became president. Don't blame me for the problems of the country. You've been in public office your entire life. You don't like something that happened in the tax code? You're angry at the system? You are the system, lady. Right? Like, doesn't that work? It works perfectly. And it worked on Hillary. It was actually, while the one-liners were like, great, sizzle stuff, that's the stuff that makes people go, oh, yeah. Oh, wait a second. Kamala's been vice president for like 4 years to like a human meat puppet stump of a man. It's like been like natus fratu, like in a coffin the entire time. Maybe Kamala's the reason why this country's gone to hell. That's a great point. Wow, she's been in office for like 20 years, 30 years, her entire life. She's been power gobbling her way through office. Maybe I should blame her. So great line of attack.